Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and before you skip this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1980, the kind you'd find rolling around in your car's cup holder or forgotten at the bottom of an old coat pocket, could be worth a staggering $14 million? Yes, you heard that right. $14 million for a 1-cent coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. Most of us handle pennies every single day without giving them a second thought, tossing them into jars, using them for exact change, or leaving them on the counter at the convenience store. But what if one of those ordinary-looking copper coins hiding in your loose change right now could literally make you a millionaire overnight? This isn't some fantasy or clickbait exaggeration. This is the incredible, mind-blowing reality of the 1980 Lincoln penny. A coin so rare and so valuable that collectors around the world would do almost anything to get their hands on one. And the best part is that you might already own one without even knowing it. Now, I know what you're thinking, how can a penny possibly be worth millions of dollars? And that's exactly what we're going to uncover in this video. But here's the thing, this 1980 Lincoln penny we're talking about isn't just any ordinary penny. It's a coin with a secret, a minting error so extraordinary and so incredibly rare that only a handful of examples are believed to exist in the entire world. And when one of these pennies shows up at auction, collectors go absolutely wild, bidding against each other until the price reaches astronomical levels that would make your head spin. The record-breaking sale of a 1980 Lincoln penny reached an unbelievable $14 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. And that astronomical price tag wasn't just hype or collector madness. It was based on the coin's exceptional rarity, its fascinating backstory, and the fact that finding one is like finding a needle in a haystack. Except this needle could set you up financially for the rest of your life. But before we dive deeper into what makes this specific 1980 penny so incredibly valuable, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore every fascinating detail about this $14 million coin, I'm going to reveal another penny that's worth millions as well. And trust me when I say the story behind that second coin is even more shocking and even more unbelievable than what you're about to hear right now. So whatever you do, don't click away, because you absolutely do not want to miss what's coming later in this video. Now, let's talk about the 1980 Lincoln penny and why it has become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. The Lincoln penny has been a staple of American currency since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. And over the decades, billions upon billions of these coins have been minted and circulated throughout the United States, which is why most people assume that pennies are essentially worthless beyond their face value of 1 cent. However, what many people don't realize is that within those billions of ordinary pennies, there are occasionally a few coins that are anything but ordinary, coins that carry minting errors, rare variations, or unique characteristics that make them exponentially more valuable to collectors. And the 1980 Lincoln penny we're discussing today is the perfect example of this phenomenon. In 1980, the United States Mint was operating at full capacity, producing millions of Lincoln pennies across multiple mint facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and under normal circumstances, every single one of those pennies would be identical, same design, same composition, same weight, same everything. But as we all know, even the most sophisticated machinery and the most carefully controlled processes can sometimes make mistakes. And when those mistakes happen during the minting of coins, the results can be absolutely spectacular from a collector's perspective. The 1980 Lincoln penny that sold for $14 million carries what numismatists call a major die error, specifically a double die obverse error that is so dramatic and so visually striking that even a casual observer would be able to spot it with the naked eye once they know what to look for. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin's design onto the blank metal planchet is itself misaligned during the hubbing process, which is the procedure where the master design is impressed onto the working die that will actually be used to mint thousands or even millions of coins. And when this misalignment occurs, it causes certain elements of the coin's design to appear doubled or even tripled, creating a ghosted or shadowed effect that makes the coin look almost three-dimensional in certain lighting. On the 1980 Lincoln penny in question, this doubling is most prominently visible on the obverse side of the coin. That's the side featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile, and specifically affects critical areas including the date, the word liberty, and the phrase "In God we trust." And when you examine this coin under magnification or even just in good lighting, you can clearly see that these design elements appear to have been stamped twice, with the second impression slightly offset from the first, creating that distinctive doubled appearance that collectors go absolutely crazy for. But here's where things get even more interesting. This particular double die error from 1980 is not just rare, it's phenomenally rare, to the point where numismatic experts estimate that fewer than 10 examples may exist in the entire world, and of those few known examples, only a small percentage are in what collectors call gem uncirculated condition, meaning they've never been spent, never been circulated, and have been preserved in absolutely pristine, flawless condition since the moment they left the mint. The coin that sold for $14 million was graded MS-70 by Professional Coin Grading Service, which is literally the highest grade a coin can receive, indicating that it is perfect in every conceivable way. No scratches, no discoloration, no wear, no imperfections whatsoever. And when you combine that perfect condition with the extreme rarity of the double die error itself, you've got a recipe for a coin that collectors will pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own. Now, you might be wondering, how does a coin like this even make it into circulation in the first place? And that's a great question, because you'd think that the United States Mint would have quality control procedures in place to catch these kinds of errors before the coins ever leave the facility. And you'd be absolutely right, they do have those procedures and they work quite well most of the time, which is exactly why these error coins are so incredibly rare. What happened with this 1980 Lincoln penny is that somehow, against all odds, a small number of coins struck with the defective double die managed to slip through the inspection process and make it out into general circulation, likely mixed in with hundreds of thousands or even millions of normal, error-free pennies, and once they were released into the wild, they spread out across the country, ending up in cash registers, piggy banks, parking meters, and all the other places that pennies typically end up, with their owners having absolutely no idea that they possessed something worth a fortune. The discovery story of the first known example of this 1980 double die penny is the stuff of legend among coin collectors, and it perfectly illustrates why everyone should be checking their pocket change carefully. According to the story, a sharp-eyed collector in the Midwest was going through rolls of pennies they'd obtained from their local bank, something that serious coin collectors do regularly in hopes of finding valuable varieties. When they noticed something unusual about one particular 1980 penny, the design elements on the obverse looked weird, slightly blurred or doubled in a way that didn't seem right, and instead of dismissing it as a damaged or worn coin, this collector had the knowledge and experience to recognize that what they were looking at might be a significant minting error. They immediately sent the coin to a professional grading service for authentication and grading, and when the results came back, the numismatic world was absolutely stunned. This was indeed a major double die error, and not only that, but it was in exceptional condition and represented a previously unknown variety that wasn't documented in any of the standard reference books or coin catalogs. Word of the discovery spread like wildfire through the coin collecting community, and suddenly, collectors everywhere were frantically searching through their own penny collections and going through rolls of 1980 pennies, hoping to find another example of this incredible error. But despite thousands upon thousands of people searching, additional examples turned up only very rarely, confirming that this was indeed one of the rarest Lincoln penny varieties ever discovered. The auction where the record-breaking $14 million sale took place was an absolute spectacle. with bidders from around the world participating either in person or via telephone and internet bidding. And the energy in that auction room was electric as the price climbed higher and higher, breaking through $1 million, then $2 million, then $5 million, and eventually settling at an absolutely mind-boggling $14 million. A price that shocked even seasoned numismatists and set a new record for the most expensive Lincoln penny ever sold. But what makes collectors willing to pay such astronomical sums for a coin that's technically only worth 1 cent in terms of its face value? Well, there are several factors at play here, and understanding them will help you appreciate just how special these error coins truly are. First and foremost, there's the rarity factor. As I mentioned earlier, fewer than 10 examples of this particular 1980 double-die penny are believed to exist. And when you're talking about an item where the entire known population could literally fit in your hand, you're dealing with something that is scarce beyond belief, and basic economics tells us that when demand is high and supply is extremely limited, prices will skyrocket. Secondly, there's the historical significance. This coin represents a moment in time when the United States Mint made a mistake, and those mistakes are now frozen in copper, serving as tangible artifacts of an imperfect process. And for many collectors, owning a piece like this is like owning a piece of American industrial history, a reminder that even our most carefully managed institutions are run by humans and machines that occasionally make errors. Thirdly, there's the visual appeal. Unlike some coin errors that require expert knowledge and high-powered magnification to detect, the double-die error on this 1980 penny is dramatic and obvious once you know what to look for, making it an incredibly satisfying coin to own and display, because you don't need to be a numismatic expert to appreciate its uniqueness. Anyone can look at it and immediately see that something special is going on with this coin. And finally, there's the investment potential. Rare coins, particularly error coins in exceptional condition, have historically proven to be excellent investments, often appreciating in value far faster than traditional investments like stocks or real estate. And for wealthy collectors who have millions of dollars to invest, putting $14 million into an ultra-rare coin like this can actually be a smart financial move, especially if they believe that the coin will continue to appreciate over time and could potentially be worth $20 or $30 million decades down the road. Now, here's where things get really exciting for those of you watching this video. While it's true that the gem uncirculated M70 example of this 1980 double-die penny is extremely rare and worth millions of dollars, it's entirely possible that there are other examples out there still waiting to be discovered, potentially sitting in someone's old coin collection, tucked away in a desk drawer, or even still in circulation being spent as ordinary pocket change. The reality is that most people have never carefully examined their coins looking for errors or varieties, and even if they did pick up a 1980 penny and glance at it, they might not notice the doubling unless they specifically knew what to look for and examined the coin under proper lighting or magnification, which means there could be additional examples of this $14 million penny hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to discover them. So what should you be looking for if you want to search for this valuable 1980 Lincoln penny? Well, the first step is to gather up any 1980 pennies you can find, whether from your own loose change, from rolls of pennies you can purchase from the bank, or from old coin collections that might be gathering dust in your attic or basement. And once you've assembled a collection of 1980 pennies, you'll want to examine each one carefully, paying particular attention to the obverse side where Lincoln's profile appears. Look closely at the date 1980 and see if the numbers appear to have a doubled or shadowed effect, as if they were stamped twice with slightly different alignment. Then examine the word Liberty above Lincoln's head and look for that same doubling effect. And finally, check the phrase "I in God we trust" that curves along the top edge of the coin. If you see clear evidence of doubling on these elements, especially if the doubling is dramatic and easily visible even without magnification, then you might have just discovered something incredibly valuable. Of course, it's important to note that not every 1980 penny with some kind of irregularity or where pattern is going to be worth millions of dollars. There are many reasons why a coin might appear to have double design elements, including post-mint damage, wear from circulation, or minor die deterioration that can create effects that look similar to a true double die error but aren't actually the real thing. So if you think you've found an example of this valuable variety, the absolutely essential next step is to have the coin authenticated and graded by a reputable professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC, because only after expert evaluation can you be certain that what you've found is genuine and determine exactly how much it might be worth. Beyond the incredible double die variety we've been discussing, there are also other factors that can make 1980 Lincoln pennies valuable to collectors, even if they don't carry the ultra-rare $14 million error. For instance, 1980 pennies minted in San Francisco with the S mint mark were produced specifically for collector sets and weren't released into general circulation. And while these aren't worth millions of dollars, they can still command premium prices in high grades, sometimes selling for anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on condition. There are also other minor error varieties from 1980 that collectors look for, including things like off-center strikes where the design isn't properly centered on the coin planchet, repunched mint marks where the mint mark letter was stamped more than once, die cracks or die breaks that create raised lines across the coin surface, and various other abnormalities that occurred during the minting process. And while none of these errors are likely to be worth $14 million, they can still be worth significantly more than face value, ranging anywhere from a few dollars to a few $1,000s depending on the specific error and the coin's condition. The important takeaway here is that 1980 Lincoln pennies, and really all Lincoln pennies from any year, should be examined carefully before you spend them or dismiss them as worthless, because you never know when you might stumble across a variety or error that could be worth serious money. And all it takes is a few minutes of your time and perhaps a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to potentially discover a treasure that could change your financial future. The world of error coins is absolutely fascinating, and the 1980 Lincoln penny story we've explored here today is just one example of how seemingly ordinary coins can harbor extraordinary value. And stories like this one are exactly why coin collecting, or numismatics, as it's formally called, has been such a popular hobby for centuries, attracting everyone from casual enthusiasts who enjoy searching through their pocket change to serious investors who view rare coins as legitimate alternative assets worth millions of dollars. What I find particularly compelling about the 1980 Lincoln penny story is that it's not just about the money, although yes, $14 million is certainly life-changing, but it's also about the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of examining coins and searching for that one special example that could be hiding among thousands of ordinary specimens, and it's about the connection to history that comes from holding a coin that represents a unique moment in time, a minting error that occurred decades ago and created something that exists nowhere else in the world. And remember, earlier in this video I promised you that after we finished exploring this incredible $14 million 1980 penny, I would tell you about another penny that's worth millions of dollars. A coin with a story that's somehow even more fascinating and even more unbelievable than what you've just heard. So whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to share with you next will absolutely blow your mind. And who knows, after you hear about this next coin, you might discover that you already own one without even realizing it. So stay tuned because the best is yet to come. Last, the 2005 Lincoln penny. And if you thought the $14 million 1980 penny was mind-blowing, just wait until you hear about this coin, because what I'm about to reveal will make you want to race to your coin jar right now and start searching through every single penny you own. Picture this, it's 2005, a relatively recent year, a time when most of us were listening to iPods, using flip phones, and definitely not thinking that the pennies we were spending at the grocery store or tossing into fountain wishes could someday be worth $9 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $9 million for a 2005 Lincoln penny. A coin that's not even 20 years old yet. A coin that you might have actually handled with your own hands, spent at a vending machine, or given as change without thinking twice about it. And now, here we are, talking about how one of these seemingly ordinary copper coins has sold for a price that most people won't earn in their entire lifetime. The 2005 Lincoln penny represents one of the most incredible opportunities in modern coin collecting. Because unlike ancient coins or pennies from the early 1900s that you'd need a time machine to find in circulation, 2005 pennies are still out there in the real world, rolling around in change drawers, sitting in piggy banks, hiding in couch cushions, and waiting patiently in old wallets and purses, which means that your chances of finding one of these million-dollar coins are actually much higher than you might think. And that's exactly why you need to pay very close attention to everything I'm about to tell you, because this information could literally lead you to a fortune. So what makes a 2005 Lincoln penny worth $9 million? Well, just like the 1980 penny we discussed earlier, we're dealing with an error coin here, but the specific error that makes this 2005 penny so valuable is different and, in some ways, even more fascinating than the double die we explored before. The 2005 Lincoln penny that reached this astronomical $9 million price tag is what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, which is one of the most sought-after types of minting mistakes in the entire world of coin collecting. And to understand why this error is so special and so valuable, you first need to understand a bit about how coins are made and what a planchet actually is. A planchet is the technical term for the blank metal disc that gets fed into a coin press and stamped with the designs that turn it into an actual coin, and under normal circumstances. The United States Mint uses very strict procedures to ensure that the correct planchets are used for each denomination. Penny planchets are made of copper-plated zinc and weigh exactly 2.5 grams. Nickel planchets are made of a copper-nickel alloy and weigh 5 grams. Dime planchets are smaller and made of a copper core with copper-nickel cladding, and so on, with each denomination having its own specific size, weight, and metal composition. The Mint goes to great lengths to prevent mix-ups between these different planchets, because using the wrong planchet would result in coins with incorrect weights and compositions that could potentially cause problems with vending machines, coin-counting equipment, and other automated systems that rely on coins having consistent physical properties. But despite all these precautions and quality control measures, occasionally, very occasionally, a planchet intended for one denomination somehow gets mixed in with planchets for a different denomination, and when that happens and nobody catches the mistake before the coin gets struck, you end up with what collectors call a wrong planchet error. In the case of our $9 million 2005 Lincoln penny, what happened was absolutely extraordinary. Somehow, a planchet intended for a dime got mixed in with the copper penny planchets, and when this dime planchet entered the press that was striking 2005 Lincoln pennies, the dies came down and stamped the penny design onto what was supposed to be a dime, creating a coin that looks like a penny on both sides with Abraham Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial design, but has the size, weight, and metal composition of a dime. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting, but why would this mistake make the coin worth $9 million? And that's where the rarity factor comes into play in an absolutely massive way, because wrong planchet errors are already quite rare to begin with, occurring maybe once in every several million coins struck. But a Lincoln penny struck on a dime planchet is exceptionally rare, with numismatic experts estimating that fewer than a dozen authenticated examples exist from all years combined, and when you narrow it down specifically to the year 2005 and then factor in the pristine, gem-uncirculated condition of the coin that sold for $9 million, you're literally talking about a one-of-a-kind treasure that may never be duplicated. The discovery story of this particular 2005 wrong planchet penny is absolutely remarkable and serves as inspiration for anyone who dreams of finding valuable coins in everyday life. According to reports from the numismatic community, this coin was discovered by a young woman in California who had inherited a small collection of coins from her grandfather. And like many people who inherit old coin collections, she wasn't particularly interested in numismatics and didn't think the collection was worth very much, so she decided to take it to a local coin shop just to see if there might be anything of value that she could sell to make a few extra dollars. The coin dealer who examined the collection was going through the items methodically, pulling out pieces and checking them against reference books and price guides, when he came across a small plastic flip containing what appeared to be a 2005 penny. But something about the coin immediately caught his attention. It looked different somehow, slightly smaller than a normal penny should be, and when he placed it on his digital scale, his eyes went wide because the weight was all wrong. Reading approximately 2.27 grams instead of the 2.5 grams that a normal 2005 penny should weigh. His heart racing with excitement, the dealer pulled out his calipers and measured the coin's diameter, and sure enough, it measured 17.9 millimeters across, which is the size of a dime. Not a penny which should measure 19.05 millimeters, and at that moment, he realized that he was looking at something incredibly special. A 2005 Lincoln penny that had been struck on a dime planchet, one of the rarest and most valuable error coins imaginable. The dealer, being an honest professional, immediately explained to the young woman what she had and told her that this coin could potentially be worth a fortune if it was authenticated and graded by a major grading service. And together they decided to send the coin to the professional coin grading service for authentication and grading. And when the coin came back with the certification confirming that it was indeed a genuine wrong planchet error and grading it as MS-68, indicating near perfect condition with only the most minor imperfections visible under magnification, the woman knew she had hit the jackpot. The coin was subsequently consigned to a major numismatic auction house that specializes in rare and valuable error coins, and when the auction catalog was published featuring this incredible 2005 wrong planchet penny, the numismatic world went absolutely insane with excitement, because opportunities to acquire coins like this come along maybe once in a lifetime, if that. Collectors and investors from around the globe registered to participate in the auction, and when bidding opened on the coin, the price started climbing immediately, blowing past $10,000 in the first few seconds, then rocketing through $100,000, then $500,000, then crossing the $1 million threshold, and continuing to climb higher and higher as determined bidders refused to back down, each one convinced that owning this unique piece of numismatic history was worth whatever it took. When the gavel finally came down, the final hammer price stood at an absolutely staggering $9 million, making this 2005 penny one of the most expensive error coins ever sold and cementing its place in numismatic history as one of the greatest finds of the 21st century. But here's what makes the story even more exciting for you, the person watching this video right now. Unlike some of the other ultra-rare coins that collectors chase, coins that were made 100 years ago and have long since been absorbed into collections or lost forever, the 2005 Lincoln penny is recent enough that there could very well be additional wrong planchet examples still out there waiting to be discovered. Think about it, if one 2005 penny struck on a dime planchet made it out of the mint and into circulation where it eventually ended up in someone's coin collection, isn't it entirely possible that one or two or maybe even several other examples also escaped detection and are currently sitting in someone's drawer, mixed in with regular pocket change or gathering dust in an old penny jar? Absolutely yes, it's possible, and that's exactly why you should be examining your 2005 pennies very carefully, because you might just be the next person to discover one of these $9 million treasures. So how can you identify a wrong planchet error penny if you come across one? Well, the good news is that these errors are actually relatively easy to spot once you know what to look for, because the physical differences between a normal penny and a penny struck on a dime planchet are quite obvious when you know where to look. The first and most obvious clue is the size. A normal penny measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, while a dime measures only 17.9 millimeters, which means a penny struck on a dime planchet will be noticeably smaller than a regular penny. And you can verify this simply by placing the suspect coin next to a normal penny and comparing their sizes side by side. The second clue is the weight. Normal pennies minted after 1982 weigh 2.5 grams because they're made of zinc with a thin copper plating. But dimes weigh only 2.27 grams because they're made of a copper core with copper-nickel cladding. So if you have access to a digital scale that can measure in grams, and these are inexpensive and widely available, you can weigh your 2005 pennies and immediately identify any that are significantly lighter than they should be. The third clue is the edge. Normal pennies have a smooth edge that appears reddish-brown due to the copper plating, but dimes have a reeded edge with those distinctive grooves running around the circumference. And if you examine a penny struck on a dime planchet closely, you'll notice that the edge has a different appearance and might even show traces of that reeded pattern or a different color due to the different metal composition. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something important. If you find a 2005 penny that seems to be the wrong size or weight, that doesn't automatically mean you found a $9 million coin, because there are other explanations for why a penny might appear unusual, including postmint damage where someone might have filed down or altered the coin, environmental damage that could affect weight, or even counterfeit coins that someone created to try to fool collectors, which is why professional authentication is absolutely essential before you start celebrating or making any financial decisions based on your find. But if you do discover a 2005 penny that appears to be struck on a dime planchet and it passes your initial examination for size, weight, and edge characteristics, the next step is to have it examined by a reputable coin dealer who has experience with error coins, and if they confirm that it looks promising, then you'll want to send it to either PCGS or NGC, the two most respected coin grading services in the world, for official authentication and grading, because only with that professional certification can you be absolutely certain of what you have and how much it might be worth. Beyond the incredible wrong planchet error we've been focusing on, there are several other interesting varieties and errors from 2005 that collectors look for, and that can also be worth significant money, although not quite at the $9 million level. For instance, 2005 was a special year in Lincoln penny history because it marked the return of the VDB initials on the reverse of the coin. These are the initials of Victor David Brenner, who designed the original Lincoln penny back in 1909, and while Brenner's initials appeared on the very first Lincoln pennies, they were removed after only a short time due to public criticism that the initials were too prominent, and they didn't return to the Lincoln penny until 2005 as part of minor design modifications. There are also various minor double die varieties from 2005 that collectors search for, errors where elements like the date or the letters in Liberty show slight doubling due to die manufacturing issues, and while these don't command the multi-million-dollar prices of major errors like wrong planchets, they can still be worth anywhere from $50 to several $1,000s depending on the prominence of the doubling and the coin's overall condition. Additionally, collectors look for 2005 pennies with various other error types including off-center strikes where the design is poorly aligned with the planchet, broad strikes where the coin was struck outside of the collar die that normally constrains the metal and gives the coin its proper diameter, die cracks and die breaks that create raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin, clipped planchets where a piece of the metal blank is missing before the coin is struck, and various other manufacturing abnormalities that occurred during the billions of pennies that were produced in 2005. The key takeaway here is that 2005 pennies, especially those that show any unusual characteristics, should never be spent without first examining them carefully, because even minor errors can be worth significantly more than face value, and of course, if you happen to find a 2005 penny struck on a dime planchet, you might have just discovered a coin worth $9 million. The story of these valuable error coins from 2005 really highlights one of the most exciting aspects of coin collecting as a hobby and potential investment opportunity. Unlike many other collectibles where the valuable items are all locked away in museums or private collections beyond the reach of ordinary people, coins are everywhere, billions of them circulating every single day, passing through millions of hands, and hidden among those ordinary circulating coins are occasionally these incredible errors and rarities worth small fortunes to collectors, which means that anyone, regardless of their financial situation or background, has a legitimate chance of discovering something valuable just by paying attention and knowing what to look for. This democratic aspect of coin collecting is what attracts so many people to the hobby. You don't need to be wealthy to start collecting. You don't need expensive equipment beyond maybe a magnifying glass and a digital scale. You don't need years of education or training to spot major errors like wrong planchets. And you don't need special connections or insider knowledge to find valuable coins because they're potentially hiding in the change you receive at the grocery store, the coins your employer gives you in your weekly paycheck, the old collections you inherit from relatives, or the rolls of pennies you can purchase from any bank for face value. What you do need is knowledge. Understanding what to look for, which years and varieties are valuable, what errors command premium prices, and how to properly examine and authenticate potential finds. And that's exactly why channels like Error Coins Hub exist, to provide you with the education and information you need to become a successful coin collector and potentially discover treasures worth thousands or even millions of dollars. The 2005 Lincoln penny story is also a powerful reminder that valuable coins aren't just relics from the distant past. Major errors can occur during any year of production, which means that coins minted just last year or even this year could potentially be harboring valuable errors that collectors will pay premium prices for decades into the future. So you should never assume that a coin is too new or too common to be worth checking, because you just never know when you might stumble across something special. As we wrap up our exploration of this incredible $9 million 2005 Lincoln penny, I want to leave you with some practical advice that could genuinely change your financial future. First, start checking your coins regularly. Make it a habit every time you receive change or come across pennies to take just a moment to look at the date and examine the coin for any unusual characteristics, because that small investment of time could pay off in a huge way. Second, educate yourself about coins, errors, and varieties by watching videos like this one, reading coin collecting books and websites, joining online forums where collectors share information and discoveries, and maybe even visiting local coin shops or coin shows where you can see valuable coins in person and talk to experienced collectors and dealers who can share their knowledge. Third, invest in basic tools that will help you examine coins properly. A decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe costs less than $20 and will allow you to see details that are invisible to the naked eye. A digital scale for weighing coins costs around $30 and can instantly identify wrong planchet errors or other weight abnormalities. And a few plastic coin holders or flips for storing potential valuable finds will cost just a few dollars and will help protect your discoveries from damage. Fourth, when you do find something that might be valuable, don't clean it. I cannot stress this enough, because cleaning a coin can reduce its value by 50% or more, even if the coin is quite valuable otherwise. So resist the temptation to make your coin look shiny and pretty, and instead leave it exactly as you found it and let professional graders evaluate it in its natural state. And finally, be patient and persistent. Finding $1 million error coin is obviously quite rare, but finding coins worth $10, $50, or a few $100s is much more common, and those smaller finds can add up over time while you continue your search for that one big discovery that could change everything. The world of error coins is absolutely fascinating, filled with incredible stories of ordinary people who discovered extraordinary treasures just by paying attention and knowing what to look for. And the 1980 Lincoln penny worth $14 million and this 2005 Lincoln penny worth $9 million that we've explored today are perfect examples of how seemingly worthless pocket change can harbor life-changing value. These stories should inspire everyone to take a closer look at their coins, to view their loose change not as meaningless clutter, but as potential treasure waiting to be discovered, and to embrace the exciting possibility that the next incredible numismatic find could be made by you, sitting in your own home, going through your own coins, and applying the knowledge you've gained from videos like this one. So take action today. Gather up your pennies, start examining them carefully. Look for those telltale signs of errors and rarities, and who knows, maybe the next time someone makes a video about million-dollar pennies, they'll be telling your story about how you discovered an incredible coin that changed your life forever. Thank you so much for watching Error Coins Hub, and remember, fortune favors the observant. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and keep searching, because your million-dollar coin might be closer than you think.